Welcome to Analog Schtick, a PlayStation 2 podcast, the podcast where every month we do a deep dive on one PS2 title. We cover the game's development history, discuss its legacy, and share our thoughts and opinions on the game through a modern lens. We release a new episode on the second of every month, so subscribe or follow if you'd like to stay up to date with the show. Please support the podcast by leaving a rating or review on whatever platform you like to listen on. My voice is going out. I don't know if you can hear that. Let me give that another try. Please support the podcast by leaving a rating or review on whatever platform you like to listen on. You can find us on podcast platforms as Analog Schtick, as well as a video version of the podcast on our YouTube channel, Joystick. I am your host, Morgan, joined as always by my nerdy turtle friend, Clayton.
I was hoping that you would say, I am your host, Clayton, joined as always.
I didn't. I caught myself. I almost did. But I was like, wait a minute. I feel like I kind of bungled a few sentences there, but...
It's better than your last intro read where you just you threw up halfway through. You know?
I don't remember that, but okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you edited it, so you would know.
Yeah. That was all manufactured anyway. I don't have any amendments from the previous episode. I left this here. I think it makes sense, but I stand by everything I said last episode.
That was our ranking, right? Does that count as our last episode?
Yeah, that is our last episode.
Okay, I was going to say, what was the last... I don't even remember.
Wait, no. Our last episode was Resident Evil. We're getting all out of order now that we're doing these ahead of time.
Oops.
Yeah.
Our bad.
I stand by everything I said. I forgot it all, but I stand by it.
I think, I do have one amendment. I think what happened with the rocket launcher.
Oh, yeah.
I think I misunderstood that I could use it on anything outside of the final boss. And I thought I was just going to clog up my inventory space with it. And I was like, well, because I read ahead in a guide and I was like, well, it says the 8 is going to drop one later. So why would I pick it up now? And so I just wandered off without it. I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah. I misunderstood that you could use it to end any boss fight, not just the final boss.
Mm-hmm. How was your guided experience? I don't know if I asked you, but do you feel like it was still enjoyable with a guide?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was fine.
Okay.
So what I did was I I read, I don't know I think it might have been an IGN guide or something to know where, to make sure I didn't miss any of the blue medallions, because that was a thing.
Yeah, you get the black tail, right, for free.
Yeah. And so I poked and checked in with an IGN guide as I was going. Also just because I hate jump scares and I didn't want to get jump scared. So I was looking ahead for stuff like that. And then I was watching a YouTube walkthrough. And the YouTube walkthrough, it wasn't a, hey, do this. It was more of just a casual playthrough. Mm-hmm. So there was some stuff that I missed, but whatever. Yeah. It's fine.
We are talking about our Resident Evil 4 episode, in case we didn't explicitly say that. And
yes.
If someone's just randomly tooting it.
Yeah.
Blacktail. Guns. What is going on?
There's guns in Sly Cooper.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
They're less, there's no blue medallions, though.
No, there's not.
All right. Before we get into our, main topic at hand, which is Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus, I wanted to discuss, in our opening topic, I wanted to discuss game length with you. This idea was brought on by the fact that Sly Cooper is 3 hours long, if you know what you're doing.
4 or 5.
Okay, fine. 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I finished it in 2 sittings, I think, and it just felt very quick.
Yeah. Well, hold on. When I say 4 or 5, I mean 100%ing the game, if you know what you're doing.
Yes.
I
was ignoring the time trials.
Okay.
I just going for all the pages of the Thievius Raccoonus.
Okay. Yeah, that does not take long at all.
Yeah, it was 2 sittings for me.
Mm-hmm.
Real fast. And I don't know. Morgan, I want you to ballpark. Just, I'm sure it changes based on the game or the genre, but just generally speaking, what is your ideal range of game length? How long do you tend to spend with a game?
Oh, that's a terrible question to ask me, because I sink hundreds of hours into things.
Yeah, you are quite the obsessive individual.
Yes. So. Dragon Age, I can sink 200 hours into a Dragon Age save without batting an eye. It's just kind of how I do.
So you want a longer... you want an everlasting gobstopper type video game.
I see. The thing is, I don't know, because even if the game isn't that long, I'll just replay it and still sink hundreds of hours into it. because, Fire Emblem Three Houses, for example, that game, you can get through like one playthrough in probably like, I don't know, maybe 10 hours. I have like 300 hours going on 400 hours in that game.
What?
Well, that's not... So there's like a ton of like extra stuff you can do that like lengthens like your playthrough. And also there's like, I think there's like four different routes you can play through. So that's like subsequent playthroughs and trying out different routes and like different stuff. So that's how I've managed to do that.
So you would say that you prefer longer games or games that allow you to sink more time into them?
Yeah, I will drag out the experience because that's just how I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm the opposite.
Okay. That's fair.
I don't want like insanely short games. Like I would consider Sly Cooper to be a little bit on the too short side of like my personal, like I could take a version of Sly Cooper that had like maybe one or two extra worlds or something. I feel like my ideal game length for like a narrative focused game, especially is like 8 to 12 hours roughly. Like that works out to be like a week for me. Like that's something that I could digest with like maybe like one or two longer sessions and then like a couple 1 hour sessions throughout the week, which I think works best for me. So like The Last of Us, I mean, like I'm playing Ratchet and Clank right now.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, this is an ideal length for me because I like to finish things and move on. There have been a couple games. I was just
going to say, are you motivated by finishing or do you just like to sit there and play?
There's some games where like I am invested like because of how the game plays and controls or whatever. Like Celeste, I'll just like go back to. There's some games that I'm willing to spend like more time in, whether or not it's really asking me to.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like Super Mario 64, like I'll pop back into that occasionally just because it's fun to hop around in. A lot of Mario games are just fun to hop around in.
Yeah.
Celeste is the same way, but like it's not really asking me to. Like the game is, about like 8 hours long or something.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, but this has been an issue for me. Some games that I really, really like Persona 5, have just been like, and maybe I will finish Persona 5 at some point, but it was just, it just felt like too much of a commitment. Like, I think a regular, just a normal playthrough of the game, not like a 100% playthrough, is like about 100 hours, which is just...
Yep.
Like I loved that game, but like I can't do it.
Yeah.
I was like 30 hours in and I'm like, I feel like I'm at the beginning of the game still.
Right. You can't like justify having to sink in the time and keep. Yeah. That makes sense.
Maybe I'll finish it, but it's just like, I enjoyed it, but like I'll end up like putting it down and just like I wouldn't be able to get back to it for like, a couple weeks or something, and it's like I feel like I kind of lost the plot. I don't know. I was to like that third boss when I quit for anyone who's played Persona 5. So I was getting blackmailed with pictures of myself drinking. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like you would like Persona 5, especially if you're open to that level of commitment.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll get to Persona
like
4 eventually.
Yeah.
We're going to cover some long games eventually.
No, I know. Later this year, we're planning on
Later this year.
Yeah.
Nothing 100 hours long, though, Jesus.
No.
I just feel like I have zero time. I don't know if I feel like every hour of my day is always accounted for.
Yeah.
I would feel bad if I spent like 2 months playing the same game almost.
Yeah, I kind of get that.
I shouldn't. I don't know.
I was going to say, because it's not like, so if you're playing like a single player narrative based game, like the hours that you're putting in, you are still making progress, right? It's not like Overwatch, which I know we've talked about that before, where it's like, we put probably like a month into this game that we can never get back that didn't amount to anything, I don't know.
I kind of feel like before we had jobs, we were kind of looking for games that acted like jobs as like this kind of
GTA 5? Like
GTA 5 is a legitimate job if you are playing
Destiny?
that game.
I never got into Destiny, but you did.
You got to like schedule events
Yeah.
with groups of people.
That's what my husband does. Plays Destiny 2 all the time. Well, not all the time.
Is he still like an active Destiny player?
Yeah. The clan.
Okay.
So the clan that you and I integrated ourselves into somehow. He doesn't play Destiny with them anymore. He founded a different clan now. Because the people in the clan that we were a part of don't even play Destiny anymore. I mean, like, obviously they're still like friends and they like hang out and stuff, but yeah.
I would say that is the key component of being a Destiny fan, is not playing Destiny.
Yeah. That's
as far
the
as
thing.
I'm concerned.
Speaking of sinking time into useless things, before he was trying to convince me to play Destiny, you were like, oh, let's get into Destiny. And I was like, okay, I spent 8 hours watching video essays explaining like the entirety of like all the lore that I missed. We did like one raid, right? And that was it. That was like all I did. Or at least I did some grinding to like
And you were like sweating bullets that whole time. You were just like,
because I didn't they were like shouting, like calling out stuff, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. And do you remember that I was like texting you in the middle of the raid?
You were texting me, you were like,
we were in like the damage phase of a boss, and they're like, all right, everybody, we're in the damage phase, like shoot. I was just standing there doing nothing like a moron, just like lost in like the explosions happening on screen, just like in awe of like what was visually happening. I was overwhelmed, and I texted you and I was like, yeah, by the way, during that last damage phase, I didn't do anything.
Well, we wiped, and there's like a scorecard, whatever you wipe, that's like damage done to boss or something, and of each player, and it was just like 0 for you.
Yeah.
And you were just standing there, just like,
Yeah. Oh, it's so bad. Anyway, yeah. So I can't handle games like that. All right, I can't. Mentally too taxing for me.
I don't mean to offend any Destiny player, and my opinion doesn't matter to begin with, but like, as someone who's played Destiny 1 and 2 for a significant portion of my life, I feel like it's just good. It's like, it's okay. Like, the gameplay is fun, but like, it's just drip fed to you over such a long period of time, and it just like wants you to like stay, I don't know, like on this like carrot and stick game that it's got, where everything's like, I don't know, it's like you get the best armor, and then it's like new update, and it's like you got to get the new best armor. Your old armor's terrible.
You're just a hamster on a wheel.
Yeah, and I don't want that. I don't want that.
Yeah, you don't want to be that.
I want to play other games.
Yeah.
But that being said, the raids are some of like the best cooperative experiences that I've ever played in any game. Like,
right. Like,
I've never played like a WoW raid or anything like that, but I assume it's comparable.
Yeah, better than Overwatch. Rounds of Overwatch even. Like you have to talk and like communicate and be with people that you can like count on.
There's fun in that sort of like, hey, this is like a super competitive thing that we're all like trying to win at, but
then also sometimes you want to choke your friends, and that's not good.
Yeah, I don't know. I never wanted to like shout at my friends like,
no,
do this thing, or I don't know, because we were never that coordinated. It felt like I didn't have any.
Yeah. Well, and like,
sort of, I don't know.
For like our first time doing the raid that we did, they were so nice and patient with us. Like, yeah, I'm not saying like our experience was bad. It's just, I know it's something that happens.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they were just having fun.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I feel like the most competitive I've ever gotten in a game might have been Apex Legends, whenever it was just like me and Cody stomping people before they introduced like skill-based matchmaking, and we had to, get our butts handed to us on like a regular interval.
Yeah.
But that was a fun period of time where there was no skill-based matchmaking. We're getting put in a game with a bunch of babies, and we're just winning like every game.
Yeah.
It's very fun. What did we talk about? Game length? I don't know. Anyway, let's get into the game that we're here to discuss.
Sure.
Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. So, Sly Cooper, developed by Sucker Punch Productions, which was founded by a group of, ex-Microsoft employees in 1997. Their first game, Rocket Robot on Wheels, was released in 1999, 2 years later, on the Nintendo 64, in partnership with Ubisoft. And while the game was received fairly well upon release, it didn't seem like it was a major commercial success, which is a similarity shared with Sly Cooper in its early, year of release. Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus was their second game, and it released in North America on September 23rd, 2002. And despite receiving widely positive reviews from critics, sales were initially very poor. However, in 2003, when the game was republished under Sony's Greatest Hits line at a lower price point, sales began to rise, and they would continue to rise until the end of the PS2 generation. And by the time it was all said and done, Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus would become one of the best-selling games of that generation, with sales in the range of like 2.2 million units sold by the end of 2006. So it, rocky start, but it definitely came back. I'm curious, Morgan, so which version of the game did you own? Did you own the black box original or the greatest hits version?
No, I had the greatest hits version. And also I picked up the second game and played through the second game before the first one.
Oh, gotcha. I had the greatest hits version. I did not have the second game. This was the only game in the series I had as a kid. But in comparing the original box art versus the greatest hit box art, personally, I think the greatest hits one is vastly better.
Well, yeah, wasn't the first one just Sly Cooper's like logo?
Yeah, it was like his insignia.
Yeah, that doesn't tell you anything about anything.
Doesn't tell you anything.
No.
It's like, what is this? Because it's a new franchise. It's a new series. It's like a fairly new studio.
And it's like a mascot-based platformer. Like you need to show the mascot.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder if that had anything to do with the low sale. Because like my parents bought me this game for Christmas one year. I actually found myself playing it when I was looking through all my parents' old Hi-8 camcorder tapes. And I assume they just got it because it looked like a kid-friendly game.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't, like, from that perspective, I doubt they would have been picking up the original, like, black box version.
Yeah, because you have...
What is this?
That gives you no information at all.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because, like, Jack and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, they had their protagonist front and center.
Solid box art,
as you should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something a kid could latch on to. I don't know what I was supposed to do with like this oval and a couple triangles.
Right,
like,
yeah. Is that supposed to be like a cat?
Yeah, like, what is this?
Right.
Thievius Raccoonus? What's going on with that?
I will say, so how I mentioned how I played the second Sly Cooper game first, I did that with all three of the big three mascot platformers. I had Jak 2 first, I had Ratchet and Clank 2 first, and Sly 2 first. The thing that caught my attention and made me want to play Sly 2 really, really bad was the commercials they were airing on TV. And
really?
In the commercials, before I got my hands on the game, because, like the commercials were like pretty short, whatever. You would only get like glimpses of the characters. I thought that it was Sly Cooper, right? The raccoon. And I thought Bentley and Murray were an asparagus and a plum, respectively.
What? Like VeggieTales?
Yes. Well, because I was watching VeggieTales at the time, so that was just like in my head, and I was like, oh yeah, the vegetables with the raccoon, right? Like,
can you imagine a version of this game where it's a raccoon and then like a couple vegetables?
I think it's an improvement. No.
Was there a VeggieTales video game at any point?
I don't know. I gotta look that up. Sorry, we're gonna take a break. VeggieTales video game. Larry Boy and the Bad Apple PlayStation 2.
Oh, Larry Boy, of course.
Oh my gosh.
All right, what were we supposed to play next week or next month? Star Wars?
Battlefront?
Yeah, screw that. We're playing Larry Boy.
Are we actually?
No.
Oh, okay.
We got to do it for Star Wars month.
Okay, that's fine. Oh yeah, I forgot.
Eventually, we're going to get to Larry Boy.
Okay, we will, yeah. Oh my God, that's going to be so good. Or
I'm
terrible.
sure this is going to be terrible, but yeah. What if it's amazing?
Could be.
That's
be
an
a hidden
option.
Gem. Yeah.
It could be.
Right.
I always had a fondness for Larry Boy and his plungers.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a point where I chased my brother around with a plunger before my mom put the kibosh on that because it was one of the most disgusting things I could have done. So. What were we talking about?
We were talking about the box art. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So new box art came out. Game did better. Correlation? Maybe. It was also cheaper. And I assume there were some commercials. Oh yeah, the commercials. So it was like it would always be like a real life raccoon in like some weird situation, and then it would cut to gameplay of Sly Cooper for like a nanosecond.
Right.
It'd be like, Sly Cooper, this cunning, devious Thievius Raccoonus, or whatever. It was always that same little line. And I don't know if that was before the initial release or if it was like during this new wave of publishing. I don't know. But yeah, I'm glad it, found its audience, I guess. Okay. The series continued with Sucker Punch developing Sly 2 and Sly 3 for the PlayStation 2. The series would then be passed off to Sanzaru Games, who developed the PS3 collection, as well as Sly 4, the divisive Sly 4.
Yeah.
Morgan, where do you come down on Sly 4?
When it first came out, I was just ecstatic to have another Sly game. Looking back, I kind of don't like it at all. Just because I'm
excited. I'll get to it eventually.
Yeah, so many aspects of so many things. It did them so dirty to me.
When the PS3 store was shutting down, that was one of the games I was like, oh, I'll just get this.
Yeah.
Like, I just went on like a shopping spree of like anything that was like the Quest for Booty, anything that was like on the store exclusively. I'm like, I'm just going to grab this real quick.
Yeah, I grabbed the Deadlocked remaster and Quest for Booty too. Yeah, when those were available.
Yeah, I sniped up the collection, the PS3. There were some games that was like, it's just cheaper for me to buy it through the store than to get a physical copy of, so I'll just do that. I grabbed the Sly collection, which
I did too.
Is kind of shitty. Let's be real.
Yeah.
We'll get into that in a second. But Sucker Punch, after they passed off Sly Cooper to Sanzaru, or I don't even know how that transaction went down. Like, does Sony own Sly? Does Sucker Punch own Sly? I mean, Sony owned Sucker Punch. I don't really know how IP works anyway.
I think Sony might.
Yeah, I feel like when you buy a studio, you buy their IP, but there may be like some sort of cordial thing, like, we're not going to just rip it out from you. We're going to let you kind of have some say into what happens to it.
Right. And after Sly 3 came out, Sucker Punch was very clearly like, we want to move on. This is the last Sly game. And everyone was like, no.
I think that's fine. I don't know I don't know where I come down on this. Like, does it make more sense to, because I think that studios should be allowed to stop and move on from
I was going to say, I think if you want something to stay good and not get warped into something where it like loses what it was and what made it good, you have to let it die.
Yeah.
At some point.
But at the same time, like, Sony, I feel like has this hole in their first party lineup for like family-friendly games. Yeah. You have Ratchet and Clank, which comes out every generation at this point.
So far.
Yeah. And the game, or the PS5 came bundled with Astrobot, which was, or Astrobot? Yeah, I almost said Astro Boy.
Yeah, that's Astrobot. Something else.
Astro's Playroom, which was fantastic. I don't know if you ever played it.
Yeah,
I think I showed
fun.
you. Yeah. It's good. It's a fun, like, 2 hours. I don't even know. It's really short, but
yeah,
I would love to see them make a full version of that at some point. Maybe not like a $70 game, but like a, more budget priced, like $50 or $40 game.
Yeah.
That's just like a longer Astro Boy or Astrobot, whatever his name is. Because they really do have this lack of like family-friendly content. And I feel like they have such great IP that they could be utilizing, like Jak and Daxter as well as Sly Cooper. But I don't know. You're not going to make Naughty Dog make another Jak and Daxter game. That'd be a little insane. And I don't really... I'm sure Sucker Punch doesn't want to make more Sly Cooper.
Yeah, it's post-apocalypse. Daxter is dead, and Jak adopts an orphan child, a sassy orphan child, and
who he hates but begins to love.
Right, and then Jak gets shot.
Yeah, the Jak gets shot. Then this new Daxter has to nurse him back to health.
Yeah,
and then gets abducted by some cannibals. This is not what happens in The Last of Us. This is not spoilers for The Last of Us. Don't worry. Did you watch any of the show on HBO right now?
No, I have a salty relationship with The Last of Us where I'm one of those like snobs where if too many people like a thing, I'm like, I don't like it because that's just how I am. I'm a little deranged that way.
I know, yeah.
Which you are well aware of.
That's why you don't like Twilight. And
well, I read it for the memes.
Yeah,
I guess
Twilight is like it's hated so much that you could kind of be a hipster by liking it. You know
Yeah,
what I
I
mean?
don't really like it. I just think it's really funny.
I'm a big fan of the Sad Dad Simulator, which is Sony's like forte at the moment. So
Oh, gotcha. See, I'm like sick of sad dad. I'm like, I don't want to see any more sad dad content. Like, I get it. Okay. It's all like the same thing to me now. It all gets lumped together in my brain.
I can't get it. Also, I love post-apocalyptic fiction. So Last of Us is like a match made in
I'm not
heaven
tired
for
of
me.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was never tired of that. I watched 11 goddamn seasons of The Walking Dead, a show that I detest, to be frank.
Okay.
Just because I'm obsessed with this
You had to scratch that itch.
post-apocalyptic fiction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't get enough of it.
But you don't like Fallout.
See, Fallout's, it's like too far. It's like too far gone. This is the same problem I have with Walking Dead, where it's like, it's too, like by the end of The Walking Dead, it's like,
It's
like
too far removed from it's straight into the post-apocalyptic. It's not post-apocalyptic.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
I get
Like,
you. I understand.
And to be fair, Last of Us is also kind of post-apocalyptic. It's like 20 years into the apocalypse. The thing that I love most about apocalyptic fiction is like, what is the Subway sandwich artist doing when the shit hits the fan?
Right.
Like,
It's more relatable that way. It's more like grounded in what we know. Yeah.
Which is why I love the beginning of The Walking Dead and stuff like that. Like, what are these random people who grouped up at just like completely disparate, professions and backgrounds and everything like that? How are they dealing with what is happening right now? Like the collapse of society. I love that stuff.
I get it.
And they get so far away from that towards the end. All right, this is a Sly Cooper podcast. We're going to rant about The Walking Dead.
There's zombies in Sly Cooper, kind of.
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh, there's voodoo stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I love it so much. The
Right.
post-apocalyptic fiction.
Yeah. In that one level. Anyway.
Yeah. Sucker Punch today, or, past Sly Cooper. Sucker Punch post Sly Cooper. They went on to develop Infamous for the PS3. After Infamous 2, they were acquired by Sony, and they went on to develop Ghost of Tsushima. Jesus. Ghost of Tsushima, a game that I think you would love. I played it a lot, didn't do jack shit in that game. I just walked around. It was so fun, though.
Absorbing the environment, yeah.
Oh my God, it was so good. I sent you a bunch of screenshots. I'm like, this is the most beautiful game I've ever played.
I've heard lots of good things, yeah.
It's so good. Like, I feel like Sony has this it's got like the market cornered on like visual fidelity. Because like between like The Last of Us, which is like, it's ruined other video games for me at this point. Like Last of Us Part 2, which is a PS4 game, is like, this is the best looking game I've ever seen. Yeah. Like it's insanity. Especially like the models, like the character models and stuff like that. And like how expressive they can be and how natural it feels. Yeah. I feel like Ghost of Tsushima is more impressive on like a landscape kind of thing, because it's just like beautiful like Japan scenery and stuff, like mountain ranges and like fields of whatever they're growing in Japan, and just like a bunch of different colored trees and stuff like that. So from that perspective, it's great. The character models and stuff like that are a little bit lacking, but again, they're great just compared to like Last of Us, which has ruined me from enjoying any video game for its visual fidelity ever again.
Gotcha.
I think you'd like it. They really have been toying around with this, like, what the hell is it called? Morality system. Is that what I'm thinking of?
Yeah, Infamous had one. And Ghost of Tsushima does too, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's interesting looking at the Sly series, Infamous, Ghost of Tsushima. They feel like they're made by the same studio, which is pretty neat for such a long-running...
Yeah, Sly Cooper kind of has, like, I can see, based on, like, what little I know of Ghost of Tsushima and, like, the themes around, like, honor and like, that sort of thing, that's, like, present in Sly Cooper, which is really weird to think about. Not necessarily, well, no, it's there in this first game, yeah.
Yeah, like heritage and tradition and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Infamous... I don't know if it has that. I mean, it has, the morality system.
You're right. It's definitely a bit more punk rocker than
gritty.
Yeah. But the movement mechanics, I think, from Sly Cooper to Infamous, it's like, it's a very different, like, this is a mascot platformer versus like it's like a superhero game.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's kind of, it doesn't feel so distant. And even in like Ghost of Tsushima, which is more grounded, you're still pretty slippery, which is how I would describe Infamous and Sly.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's Sucker Punch today. Morgan, how did you, what was your history with this game as a kid? I know you already discussed it a little bit, but is there anything else?
So, Sly 2 has, for the most part, been like my absolute favorite of the trilogy. But the older I've gotten, the more like the first game has really grown on me, and the more I've grown to appreciate it for what it is. I didn't like it as a kid because, and we can talk about this later, but I felt like it was like really unforgiving compared to Sly 2.
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
As far as like the life system and like the one hit, you're dead sort of thing.
Yeah, I think especially in some of the boss fights and stuff like that.
That can get kind of intense if you don't know what you're doing.
I played this game as a kid, like I said before, but I played this game and its sequel, and I made reviews for them on my personal channel. I went back and watched my first review, which is the second video I did. It's like, man, I had no idea what I was doing. It's like I went back to it. I'm like, I'm like barely speaking. Like I'm speaking so weirdly that it's just like.
Are you mumbling?
I'm just not speaking very loudly at all. And like I'm emphasizing words weirdly and just wrote the script kind of wonky. But what are you going to do? I prefer the first game over the sequel, which I think is a viewpoint that is shared by almost nobody.
It's kind of a hot take.
Yeah, and I think that part of the reason I was so down on the sequel, we're going to get to it eventually. But I think I just was expecting it to be more similar to the first game, which I think maybe soured my opinion on the game, maybe a little unfairly. We'll see. I'm excited. I want to revisit it, though, especially after playing this game. What did your preparation for this episode look like?
I watched some behind-the-scenes content, like some like developer documentaries, and then I 100%ed the game.
Nice. Did you do all the time trials?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. Beat them all first try too, actually.
Damn.
Yeah.
Just gonna throw that one out there.
Yeah. Well, normally there's like a specific level that like really gets me for the time trial, and for whatever reason, this time I just like killed it. I was like, okay, well.
I think the one that was always getting me was Boneyard Casino.
That's the one that I'm talking about. Yep.
Yeah, trying to land on that final bit.
That's really hard.
That's really hard.
Under pressure.
I didn't do the time trials for this playthrough, but last time I played through it, I did 100% it, and that was one that was especially difficult for me. I ended up using the slow motion ability.
Slow motion? Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't use it, but yeah, I can see why.
I didn't use it. I do not need
I normally have the roll equipped, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh, yeah. The roll is like the go-to.
Yeah.
All right. Morgan, I got some very, very, very important questions. I think every time we do another episode, we should add another very to the important questions. Bentley or Murray? You can only save one.
I can only save one? I mean, Bentley has a special place in my heart. I can't. I love them both.
You would feel bad killing Murray, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I feel bad killing either one of them. It's terrible. But Bentley is, I don't know, he's just special to me. Probably because I am Bentley in real life. That's who I wish I was. That's the thing. It actually, in one of the behind the scenes documentaries, I don't remember if it was for the first game or the second game, but someone in the documentary is like, we all wish we were Sly, but in real life, we're all Bentleys. And I'm like, yeah.
Accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like everyone wants to be Leonardo, but they're just Donatello, but like a nerdy version of Donatello.
Yeah.
I think I would also save Bentley. I don't know. I feel bad. I thought about doing a F, Marry, Kill.
Oh, God.
I didn't want to invoke any sort of furry elements to this podcast.
You know, it's whatever. So the thing is, though, is that Bentley always has more screen time and more character development than Murray. That's just kind of how it is. So for that reason, like, it's almost sort of like by design that you're more attached to Bentley, at least in my case.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
In looking at the developer the developer commentaries, not the making of. There were those missions where you're Sly on the hover tank were originally going to be Murray with a machine gun or a minigun, which is hilarious.
That is hilarious.
Did you see those? We'll just jump to this right now, but there's is it the Pages that gets the developer commentary, or is it the time
No, it's the time trials.
The time trials, like if you complete the Master Sprint or Master Thief Sprint time trials, you unlock developer commentary for each level except for like vehicle levels, like some levels or certain levels, boss fights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
However, there is actually developer commentary for those things. They're on the disc apparently, but they're not in the game. So
it's so weird.
Someone released like a compilation of all of those levels with developer commentary. And it's like, why was this not in the game?
Yeah, why'd they cut it?
I don't know.
That's
like,
so sad.
It's a big chunk of levels too. It's like, why are you cutting this? This is prime content.
Yeah.
It's just weird. Anyway, but in those levels they mentioned how Murray was going to initially replace Sly with a minigun instead of that hover tank thing, but they decided to go with Sly. You do play as Murray quite a lot. I wonder, like, if you did like a breakout of like the Murray levels, I wonder what it would be.
There's the racing levels. There's 2 racing levels.
2 racing levels. I'm kind of counting the ones where you're helping him through.
Yeah, and there's only 2 of those.
There's 2 of those.
Yeah.
But then there's
the van driving
fire
thing.
slug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there's only like 5. Yeah. He doesn't get a lot.
So he would have had 2 more if that was.
Yeah. But on the other hand, Bentley only has like the hacking thing.
Only the hacking thing.
But Bentley is also the one that talks to you all the time and interrupts you.
It's true.
To give you dumps and tutorials and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Unlock safes and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, what were we talking about? Yeah, Bentley or Murray. I'm saving Bentley.
Yeah.
Murray's going to die. And that'll be the dark recreation or like reboot of the series with Murray dying in Sly's arm. And
well, do you remember what happened at the end of Sly 2?
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, it's a little dark, but
that was weirdly dark. What was up with that?
I don't know. We'll talk about it.
Can we talk about that for a second? I do want to talk about that.
Okay.
Why did that happen? That felt like it was out of nowhere. Was this supposed to be like the Empire Strikes Back of the Sly Cooper trilogy? Was it supposed to end on like this weird dark note?
I mean, it didn't like end on necessarily a dark note because remember, I don't know if you remember, but Sly and Carmelita get to have their helicopter date while he's in like handcuffs.
Kinky.
And she gets out a bottle of wine and was like, I was saving this for your arrest. And he's like, oh. But then it's like, I noticed that we were going in circles around the Eiffel Tower. And then it's like revealed that Bentley and Murray were like piloting the helicopter and like rigged it so that it would just fly in a circle and they like all ditched Carmelita and it was like a thing. Anyway,
I forgot about that.
I thought it was a good ending, but
yeah, you're right.
But Bentley, the thing that happens to Bentley, yes, is pretty dark. He
becomes paralyzed from the waist down.
Yes.
In this children's game.
Yes.
Just out of nowhere.
And then also there's like Neela's projected face that is like screaming and like she's like losing her mind basically and it's like, I hate you so much. And you're just like, oh, yeah. Bombs. Bomb her.
All right, Morgan, I got second very important question for you.
Yes.
Which of the villains' origin stories did you find most relatable?
As someone who grew up a weird little girl, who had trouble fitting in, I would say, until I met Claire, your wife, probably Ms. Ruby. Although I didn't resort to what she did to make friends, but hey, you know.
Right. I think I'm going to have to go with Mugshot.
I was going to say that would be my second choice, would be Mugshot.
I mean, what else can you pick?
Sir Raleigh's too snooty for me.
He's like a kleptomaniac, right? He just became
He's a spoiled rich kid who was like too bored and decided to cause problems because,
Panda King couldn't sell his fireworks.
Well, he was like a poor kid and the nobles snubbed him. So he was like, okay, then I'll bury the whole village and kill everybody. And that's
arson is the next option.
That's a bit extreme.
Yeah. That's a bit of a ratcheting up of.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm going to go with Mugshot. I'm working out now. I'm basically Mugshot, you know?
Okay.
Scrawny kid
Sure.
turned into this gangster. I can't wait to
Do you
fight
have
Sly
tiny
Cooper
legs?
in the future. Yeah, I'm gonna have. He skipped leg day.
Yeah.
Matt.
Every
he was
day.
walking around on his knuckles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's gonna be me. That's my goal.
Okay.
I want to walk around on my knuckles. I want to. I want to return to monkey.
Okay, sure.
And start walking around on my knuckles.
Thingamagookus, Rackamacungus, or whatever he says.
That thingus rackamagookus.
Yeah.
That's my favorite line from the game, I think.
It's a very good line, yeah.
All right, Morgan. To go along with this, how would you fit into the Sly Cooper universe? What is your Sly Sona, let's say?
Oh man, I feel like my
An
skills.
enemy? A villain?
I don't know. If I was a villain, I would be like a really lame one that would like turn good, and then be like, "Oh, she's so pathetic. Let's just leave her alone."
Doesn't this happen in the third game? I have not
It does.
finished.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't tell you like who that happens with, but it does.
Okay.
So, and also like, I was like trying to like sort of like come up with like a character that I would like to be. An art thief for some reason like really appeals to me, like someone specialized with like just stealing artwork, because I like artwork. That seems like something I would do. But then I'm like, oh, if I'm like a thief that's like revolved around like art, then I don't know. And I was like, but I'm also like, I was trying to fit like the whole like Raphael like angry thing into it. But then I realized that would just make me Dimitri.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's fine. You can be a Dimitri clone.
I would be Dimitri, but like a little bit more coherent in how I spoke, because he learned English from hip hop videos, and that's why he talks the way that he does, which I think is really fun. Anyway,
That's good. I asked this question. I did not think of an answer.
You didn't
so
come
let me
up with
think
an
of something
answer?
else.
Yeah.
I asked it, and I'm like, I forgot that I also have to answer this. I'm going to say some sort of a mechanic type person. I want to lay a bunch of traps, create a nice stealth section for our heroes to fight their way through.
Yeah.
I want to be a villain. Yeah, I want to be a villain.
Okay. Another option that I came up with was Sly Cooper's really lame cousin that was too lame for even Clockwork to find and kill. I just suck.
Yeah. Rowdy
Sure.
Cooper.
Yeah.
What's the opposite of Sly? I don't know. Anyway, Morgan, tell me about the campaign.
Clumsy Cooper.
Clumsy Cooper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Morgan, tell me about the campaign.
Okay. So the narrative for the first game is sort of like a simple coming of age story, sort of like a hero's journey type thing. So Sly Cooper is an orphan that comes from a long line of master thieves. And when I say master thieves, that means in universe, thieves make their fortune through stealing from other thieves. His parents were killed by another gang of thieves called the Fiendish Five. The Fiendish Five raided his family home looking for a book, the Thievius Raccoonus, which contains all the secret techniques from the Cooper lineage. After his parents were brutally murdered in front of him, Sly wound up at an orphanage where he met and became best buds with Bentley and Murray. And so together they formed their own gang, the Cooper Gang. And now that they're out on their own, their goal is to track down each member of the Fiendish Five and steal back the Thievius Raccoonus one page at a time until Sly's family legacy is restored and back in his hands. So that is basically...
This may have been done at some point, and I have not played 3 or 4, which I think I've established at this point, but I think it'd be... The idea of playing as Kid, Sly, Bentley, and Murray, completing like a little orphanage heist...
Yeah.
That'd be so cool.
So there's actually a comic. There's, I think, a comic and a novelization of the comic that cover. There's like a chapter dedicated to like their first heist together. And it was stealing a cookie jar at the orphanage. And it was so cute.
That's so good.
It was so cute. Because like Bentley was like doing, they were like all doing like their roles that they still have as like adults. It was adorable. Anyway.
I think the idea, I feel like that'd be a perfect thing for Thieves, and I don't know exactly what the theme of the 4th game was, but it was called Thieves in Time, and I assume they were doing some time jumping.
Yeah, they were.
I feel like that's the perfect time to meet up with Kid, Sly, and the gang.
Yeah,
so.
Missed opportunity, but that is a good idea. I will say also, speaking of, childhood as a kid, I was obsessed with the concept of the Thievius Raccoonus, like this book that has like basically all of like this like lore in it. And it drove me insane that I couldn't have like a physical copy of that book ever.
That would be sick.
Yes. I will say that the game manuals, I don't know if you still have your game manual or if you had one.
I don't have it, but I remember it. So
Yes. So the game manuals, at least the first one does it the most and the best, has like flavor text where it gives you like little passages of the Thievius Raccoonus and it has like little like diagrams and stuff for some of the moves, which I thought was like really fun. And also a cool thing about the manuals is that each entry in the series, the Thievius Raccoonus looks more and more like weathered and faded. So like the Sly 1 manual, the Thievius Raccoonus looks like pristine. The second one, it's a little bit tattered. And the third one, it's like really faded and tattered. Like it's been, I just thought that was an interesting touch. But yeah, I carried those manuals around with me and studied them obsessively because I wanted the Thievius Raccoonus to be real so bad.
I mean, you saying this, I'm reminded, I've been bad on my my New Year's resolution or whatever it was to actually read the game manuals. I think I forgot for Resident Evil 4 as well, but I didn't do it for this game either. Dang it. Oops.
Yeah, and it's also fun because I remember it having like, there's like annotations in the book written by each of like the Cooper gang members, and like they each have their own handwriting and like the ink is like their specific color. So like Sly's writing is like blue and like loopy, and Bentley's looks like computer text and it's green, and then there's Murray's, which is, I think it might be kind of sloppy. I don't remember. But yeah, it just had a bunch of like cute little touches to it that, that making a video game manual is definitely like a lost art. Like we don't have them anymore.
There's no video game manuals.
No.
Anymore. Yeah.
And it's kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through it right now. It's very like,
let me look it up.
It's very cute. It's nicely laid out.
Oh man. Yes. This book belongs to, and it has the stamp in it. That's so cute.
Yup. Mm-hmm. I assume you've never been into Gravity Falls or anything like that.
No.
I'm not either. I mean, the show's cool, but there's like a book that's like an integral part of the lore of everything, kind of like the Thievius Raccoonus.
Yeah.
It's like this, book about like all the weird stuff that happens and all the creatures and whatever. And it's a thing in the show, and it's also like a piece of merchandise that they sell, which is just like, I love that stuff. A real Thievius Raccoonus would be sweet.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sure there's people that have made like the covers. Like I'm sure that's something you could find on Etsy. Mm-hmm. It was like an actual like leather bound, maybe for like cosplay purposes. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
Man, it's got a little like look at the Fiendish 5 and everything like that. Dang.
Yeah. Also, I like how the manual, like the instructions are given to you as like a written down conversation between Sly and Bentley. Like that's just like in like their character voices. It's just like really cute.
Man, this is absolutely a lost art.
Yeah, definitely.
That's so fun. I feel like this would be a fun opportunity for like indie games. I'm sure like certain limited run type stuff does this.
Yeah.
It's like a, a more retro feel anyway.
Right. Or like sometimes like a collector's edition will have extra, like a game guide maybe or something. I don't know. Or like a lore book of some kind.
So much.
Yeah.
I love game guides.
Yeah.
I know that it's like pointless. Like the internet exists and like,
well, yeah.
You can just find the information anyway. But I do love, maybe it's because I have some sort of, attention disorder or something like that. But I like when I have stuff that is just like I love cookbooks.
A physical copy.
Yeah.
Something
and it's like
hold.
I can't get like a text notification on this thing and be distracted.
Right. That makes sense.
That. Or be advertised to.
Yeah.
or something. Yeah. So yeah, I love having like I've become more of a person who likes physical, like it's a book that I have to look at with my eyes. I know it's a novel concept to many people, but books, big recommend.
Yeah.
Anyway, Morgan, what's your favorite chapter? It's broken up into 5 chapters, spanning different villains. Which one do you look upon with the most? I don't know. What's your favorite?
As a kid, my favorite was the Panda Kings because you get the invisibility ability, which is kind of busted if I'm being honest.
Is it? I never really used it.
Yeah, I don't know. You don't have to. As a child who was scared to death of dying. yeah. If I could just like go invisible, that was like really comforting to me. So I like that. But now Mugshots is my favorite.
I think Mugshot is so good. I feel like everything there is so nice.
Sorry, my phone just fell. If you heard that.
I didn't.
Oops. Okay.
I'm sure future me heard it.
Also, I don't know if you know this, but earlier in development. I don't know how much earlier or like how late this was in the game's development, but the first chapter and Panda King's chapter were flip-flopped in order. So Panda King came first. And
I remember you mentioning this to me.
Yeah.
I wonder if like the difficulty was tuned in any specific way. I don't know if I think the third chapter was probably like...
It's the hardest, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
It throws the most like relentless enemies at you, whereas like the Panda King's chapter feels like a lot easier to me.
I think, yeah, so chapter 2 is my favorite. What was the hardest boss in your opinion? Because...
Ms. Ruby.
Really?
Yeah. Why? What were you going to say? Because I want to hear your reason.
I was going to say Mugshot.
Okay.
I really struggled with Mugshot.
Did you know that if you have the roll ability, if you're like in the rolling position, Mugshot can't hit you?
Damn.
So that like it busts that fight. It just makes it like not even an issue. So that's how I get through Mugshot, is I just roll the whole time.
Is that only like the second phase of the roll where you have like that buzzy thing around you?
No.
It's just that first...
Just rolling.
Okay.
Yeah. He can't hit you. He can't, with his like guns, he can't shoot you. It goes like over you when you're rolling.
Well, that would have been nice to know.
Yeah. I like kind of assumed that you knew that, so I just never mentioned it. But yeah, that's how you get through them. Yeah.
That being said, it's not like that hard, but I did die like 4 times, I think.
Yeah.
Just trying to get through that because it's just an instant kill. So yeah, I found that one hard. I guess Miss Ruby I also struggled with, but I was playing the PS3 version, which is busted. So
it is.
And how does that work exactly? Like, because I have never played the real version of it.
Right. So the issue with the PS3 version is however they like ported over like the soundtracks and stuff. The Miss Ruby boss fight is basically a rhythm game, for those of you that are listening and don't know, where it's like kind of like a Simon Says rhythm game where you have to repeat the like moves that she's throwing at you. And how they ported it to the PS3, the soundtrack got out of sync. So like the song playing in the background does not line up with the beats where you're supposed to be hitting the buttons. And so that's what makes it harder. Which you can just like turn the volume down or turn like the music off. And that'll like make it easier. But also like a problem that I've had with Ms. Ruby, I don't think I had an issue on the PS3, but on the PS2 and on an emulator, sometimes your inputs just get dropped. And so like you just get hit and you can't, like it just kind of sucks. So if you don't have like a horseshoe or two, you're kind of screwed.
I think I mentioned this on an earlier episode, but like that was one of the big reasons, not the biggest reason. Like I don't think input lag is like too hard to deal with because we're kind of used to it in the modern era, but like games definitely were designed without input lag in mind. Like playing on the CRT, it's like you press the button, it happens.
Right.
Almost instantly. So certain like the timing on things is like, you know, it's not taking into account like dealing with any sort of delay between your controller and what's happening.
Right.
So that's a little small advantage I guess I have.
Yeah. And like a way to deal with that, if you are like getting input lag and getting stuck, just mash the buttons, because there's like a decent window of like when Sly will try to move, that if one of those inputs gets through, he'll do it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the reason it wasn't too difficult for me is because I was just going off the grunts, like the wow, wow, wow. Yeah. That kind of helped with that. What was your favorite boss? This could be for any reason, but like, which boss did you get attached to the most?
Mugshot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just because of the way he talks.
He's funny.
His whole like thing, his whole vibe. Yeah.
I like the Panda King a lot too.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because he's a panda. But
his like battle voice lines are very like iconic to me. They really stick out. Like fiery wheel. Booming chop. Like it has like a specific, it just lives in my brain.
It's good. Anytime I'm in an actual fight with someone, I try to bust that out. It terrifies them.
Palms of thunder. And then you just miss and get punched in the face.
Yeah. You slap around them.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Hold on a second. Favorite boss? Let me back it up. Clockwork, obviously.
Really?
I'm sorry. Yeah, he's scary. Like conceptually, he's incredibly frightening. And it's very like dark to confront like this weird like entity that's been alive for centuries, that has been stalking and murdering your family for centuries. That's crazy.
Messed up.
Yeah.
He lived off a steady diet of hatred.
Exactly. That does not make a lot of sense. We just kind of roll with it here. But for like charisma, for the sake of like charisma, mugshot, for the sake of like thematic reasons, Clockwork. Mm-hmm. And how fitting that his name is Clockwork, because he's a machine that has lived, that endures through time. I don't know. It's cool.
Maybe a kid's game, but give the writer some credit. Jeez.
Yeah.
I never reached Clockwork as a kid. I think the farthest I made it was, I never beat Miss Ruby as a kid.
Okay.
Like I got stuck on that world, I think, pretty much always. It's probably that goddamn chicken mini game.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
What's the hardest boss? Like, the chickens.
The chickens.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bomb chickens.
Right.
They suck. I think that I didn't, like, playing through this again, I pretty much blazed through it. I died at Mugshot, and I think I died at the chicken mini game, and I'm pretty sure that was it. I died on the final boss a couple times, but yeah.
Yeah.
After that, everything else is just pretty smooth sailing. All right. Do you got anything else to add to campaign characters or whatever?
Nope. My questions are later.
All right. So mechanics-wise, it's a fairly simple, like, jump, action button, attack, basic, like, action platformer. And that's all you are required to have to get through the game. However, you do unlock abilities as you progress. Morgan, do you find these abilities to be, like, actually useful? Or
the only one that has, like, a use to me is the roll.
Yeah.
Specifically because it makes the mugshot boss fight a joke. And for, like, time trials, if you're, like, going downhill, the roll gives you a couple, like, seconds maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's the roll. Oh, yeah. I meant to ask you or look this up or whatever, but do you know how unlocking the abilities works? Like, do you unlock them in like a set order, or are they tied to the actual levels?
I think you unlock them in a set order. So it's not tied to like this particular safe in a level. It's like the first safe that you unlock will always be the knockout dive.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's like a specific order, but the last safe will always be like the time freeze thing that like freezes all the guards, because that's like the most like broken whatever.
Mm-hmm. I like the one where you unlock the ability to see like a little blurb about all the enemies.
Yeah, that's cute. Yeah.
Yeah. Such and such really enjoys golf or whatever.
Right. And it has like a weird like Latin name for each one of them too. Like there's like their actual name and then like their Latin whatever classification. That's fun. So sorry, did you say your favorite ability was the...
I think it was the roll, but like I never really found too much use for the attacking abilities.
No.
Yeah, so that like spin dash, does that like deflect enemy projectiles, or like does it do anything?
No, it's just a fancy way to kill. Well, technically, I think, you know how sometimes when you kill a guard and they blow a whistle?
Yeah.
I think technically that's supposed to negate that, because there are a few areas where the guards will blow a whistle and then other guards will come running. It doesn't happen very much.
Yeah.
But like in the Boneyard Casino, I think that might be handy there. I don't know. It's not. No, it's not very useful.
This run through, I was using the speed a lot just to
that's
run
handy.
Through the game slightly faster, just awkwardly pressing triangle.
Yeah, it makes the 100% speed runs nutty looking, because they basically just always hold down triangle after they get that one.
It's kind of funny. Yeah. It's like, what is this? They're using like a sped up version of the game, but it's just in the game.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird that it's like just run the game at like a higher clock speed or whatever. It's an interesting ability to unlock. But yeah, I think favorite would have to be the roll. Like it's just the most fun because it's like a physics-based like speed thing.
Yeah. You know? I would agree.
I don't think we mentioned this, but the abilities are unlocked through like 100% completion of the levels with the collectibles, the clues, and unlocking the safe. So they're not designed to be required to beat the game, but I kind of wonder if they had been required and you could design levels around them, like if that would have opened the door for some like interesting gameplay, like mechanics or interactions with the world or something. I'm curious if you think any ability would like lend itself to having a level themed around it. Like, I don't know if there's a list of them.
I think if you did that, you would have to make the levels based around the ability mechanics, like bonus levels. And I could see, well, like how you mentioned how the roll is like physics based. You could maybe have something that has like a bunch of like dips or like ramps that you would have to like roll down and then like get launched and use it that way.
That could be fun.
But that's like the only one I can think of that would really. I mean,
there's
like
that one where you like throw out
the
your
mine
hat as a mine.
That's the mine.
I feel like a level where you're trying to like kite enemies around, or like you know, throw your hat down, detonate it, and distract them so you can slip past them or something like that, where you like have to use that mechanic could be interesting.
Yeah, if there was like almost like a horde mode sort of thing where it's like, I don't know, I could see like a Ms. Ruby thing where it's like, oh, there's like this thing of zombies, but don't let the crowd catch up to you. Use the mines to kill them before they, I don't know.
Or like a like the mines and the decoy that you can throw out.
Yeah.
I think the roll has some potential for like some sort of weird ramp that you gotta launch yourself down or something.
Exactly. But other than that, like any of the others, no, because they're not really. So some of them are more passive. Well, no, the slow time one, there could be like some lasers that are flickering really fast, and you have to use the slow time to like time your
or
jumps.
Like a fan or something.
Yeah, time your jumps just right.
Yeah, there's some potential. I'm looking it up. I was looking up just a list of all the abilities.
Yeah.
And apparently Sly is 22 years old.
In this game? I thought he was 8.
Oh, no, he's 18.
He's 18, yeah. Because they would have just like gotten out of the orphanage. Yeah.
The newer games, he's 22. Interesting.
Oh, man, I'm older than Sly now. That makes me feel weird.
Yeah, you know you're old.
He's like a 30-year-old man in my head. Probably because his voice actor was like a 30-year-old man at the time.
Wait. So how long ago was 2002?
21 years. Right?
It's 21 years?
Yeah.
So Sly is now 39 years old.
Oh. His knees his joints are popping when he's like having a crouch and jump around.
You made a noise like you were about to throw him.
I mean, it's probably getting
I'm gonna die soon.
Some white in his fur, maybe salt and pepper in his tail.
How hilarious would it be if they came back? If they're like, we're gonna make a new Sly game, but he is 39 years old.
Yeah, that would be so funny.
God.
And then his kids, his little half raccoon, half fox babies. Because I don't know how that would work.
Do they hook up? Is that a canonical thing?
No, don't worry about it. I mean, they do. I mean, hook up. I don't know. It's a kid's game, but like,
you know what? I'm fine with them hooking up.
Okay.
But the second you spit out some sort of mixed race creature, I don't know how I feel about it anymore.
Yeah.
It's a little strange.
All right. Well, hey.
Half fox,
a fox and a raccoon, those things are similar. Just you wait, because there's going to be more where you're going to be like, how does that work? Oh, man.
In this series?
Yeah. Yeah.
About to get
You'll know. You'll know when you get there. You'll be like, what? How is that going to... If these two had babies, how the heck would that work?
Is there going to be like a turducken in the later games?
I'm not going to say.
All right.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Oh, no. Sorry. There's two situations where it's like, how the hell would that work? And all of them are in Sly 3. So.
I'm glad.
Okay.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Where does Sly 3 rank in your opinion of these games?
Sly 2 is still my favorite. Sly 1 is my second favorite. Sly 3 is at the bottom. But still very beloved. Okay. Sly 3, above Sly 4. For reasons. Not for gameplay reasons, but just reasons.
Where does Bentley's Hack Pack fall into this ranking?
I've never played it. You have it, right?
That was one of the dumb things that I bought whenever the PS3 store was shut down.
Yeah. Chess for the PS1 you bought.
I did buy chess for the PS1 because, I was going a little nuts.
Yeah.
And I thought it'd be hilarious to say that I bought chess for the PS1. So.
Yeah.
And it is.
It
is hilarious. I'm sure our audience is, having some sort of laughing fit right now. Yeah. All right. I feel like we keep going off on tangents, and I'm like, where the hell were we? Like,
level design. We're on level design.
Yeah, level design. So what were your favorite types of levels? It's broken up into minigame stuff and then like straight up platforming.
Anything Sly-centric platforming is always, I think, really good gameplay. So that anything Sly.
How'd you feel about the Carmelita stuff? Those are some of my favorite.
Yeah, those stressed me out as a kid so bad. As an adult, though, I like them. I think they're fun.
I always thought it felt like pretty cinematic. Like as I'm jumping, it's like everything's worked out in a way to where it's like timed perfectly. So as you jump, it's like the platform behind you gets destroyed and stuff like that.
Yeah,
which felt fun. It's not like an auto scroller in a sense because you're being shot at. So like you can kind of go at a slower pace and still be fine, but it just feels nice and cinematic. Yeah,
it does. It keeps like the tension there without like you have to go now, like a side like a side scroller would. So, do you have a favorite level? No, you said favorite types of levels. As far as like favorite levels go, Back Alley Heist was one of my favorites, just because, and all of my favorites are in Mugshots. Section.
Me too.
Yeah. But Back Alley Heist was one of my favorites just because it's like an homage to like the 2D platformer. And I thought that the way that they did that was really fun. The Boneyard Casino is one of my favorites. And is it Straight to the Top or to the Top?
I think that
the
is
one on
the
the
name. Roof. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that one too.
Yeah.
They're all good. I don't know if it's the aesthetic that does it for me. It's like nighttime in a city and stuff like that. But
yeah. Or it's like late in the day. Like it's like very orange.
There's like a bunch of neon signs and stuff. It's just very appealing.
Yeah. I think I liked Boneyard Casino. Boneyard Casino is my like favorite just because I think it feels like very thiefy because a casino is where there's like a ton of money and like that's, you know, and like the guards like right at the beginning, like you have to like sneak around them. Like that feels thiefy to me.
I love the enemies in that section too.
Yeah.
The dogs.
Yeah.
It's very good. I think that my favorite is probably Two to Tango.
Okay.
I really like the Carmelita stuff. So
that's a good one too.
Yeah. I think, and Back Alley Heist is another one that I like. It may not be my favorite, but it makes me curious, like what they could have done with more 2D side-scrolling levels.
That makes sense.
I saw that in that link that you sent me of like early prototypes and stuff like that. It seemed like there were a couple 2D looking side-scrolly sections.
Yeah, or it was sort of like an isometric sort of view, but like, I know what you mean. They played around with like a bunch of different, I mean, they always wanted it to be like 3D, obviously, but they played around with different viewpoints and that sort of thing.
That's actually something I want to talk about is the like amount of like, I don't know it's just like the making of documentary and like the developer commentary, like this game feels like it's like it humanizes the game or something, like just hearing all the input and stuff like that from the actual like creators of the game, which is something that you basically never get from anything, especially like inside of the game itself. And even outside the game, there's like a bunch of those like early prototype stuff where they're walking through it. It's really neat to have like a peek behind the curtain at like the development process.
Right. I think it like elevates the game in my mind just because I know like what it took for the game to get to that point, and also to understand that like everything you interact with in a game to a certain extent was intentional if it was designed well. And just like understanding the intention behind, you know, whether it be like the art style or the level design, anything like that just really helps like respect and appreciate for the piece of art that it is, because I think games are interactive art. So yeah, it's really
like,
cool.
And maybe the reason that it doesn't happen so much is because like, or at least now, maybe it's because it's like
the teams are so big.
Teams are so big.
Yeah.
Yes. But also like maybe people don't feel like it's that necessary to share what they're doing. Like I kind of get that. Like
I wish they would though.
I know, like I'm not making games or anything, but like, you know, I'm not going on YouTube and being like, here's how I edit the podcast and stuff. You know, like on a lower scale, it's like, I don't feel the need to share like how I'm making this thing. And maybe it's some level of that, like, you know, a lot of people do this. A lot of people know how to do this. I don't need to share what I'm doing, but I do find it very interesting. And I think it really, I don't know. Also, like, not to be political, but like in today's climate, I feel like, I don't know. I understand people not wanting to be like a character on social media ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes
just put themselves out there, especially with video games.
Right. There is a certain risk with like putting your face out there to a certain thing. And then like, you know, let's say you're in a behind the scenes documentary and then some weirdo finds you on Twitter and like they know that you worked on a mechanic or something that they really hate and they like come at you and it's just like, what are we doing? Don't do that.
Or like I mean, like the Hogwarts Legacy thing, like I imagine there's like they had like a couple showcases and stuff like that. Like I would feel awkward if I was like a developer on that game being associated with it.
Yeah. Well, because it's like you're just there to like put food on the table, right?
Yeah, I know. Like, and you're making a game about a franchise you love, but like you're being associated with this character who is just controversial right now.
Yeah.
And regardless of like how you feel about it, it's like I just don't want to deal with being like associated with this public. Like I don't know. I just want to.
Yeah.
I would just want to work on the game. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, the reward doesn't feel worth the risk of being just coming under the fire of just random people on Twitter or something.
Right. That being said, I don't mean to like go off on like another like little nostalgia tangent here, but the first like behind the scenes documentary I ever saw for a video game was in Sly 2, actually, because Sly 2 does like a similar thing where if you are 100% a level, you get like a little extra like movie or something to look at. And towards one of the like later Sly 2 levels, there's a behind the scenes documentary, whatever. That clip, I am convinced, has had like such a huge impact on my life, because I saw that little documentary. It was probably like 10 minutes long, whatever. I was obsessed with it. I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to make video games. People do this for a living. Like these are like the people that are working on it. And I was like, I want to be one of them. Now, obviously that didn't happen, but it did sort of like...
Never say never.
Well, yeah, that's true. But it did like put me on the career path that I'm on now. And it did help me discover like other, I guess, skills that I like to pursue, like writing, for example. Like, oh, I love this game so much because the story means so much to me. Oh, I'm really passionate about stories. Oh, I'm passionate about writing. Like that, like, I don't know. And it's just weird to think about, like, what are we missing out on by like not showing the behind the scenes stuff? Because that could unlock like this like huge passion for like other people who don't even know that they would be interested in that sort of thing. I don't know. But also, I don't want to be harassed on Twitter, so like I don't blame anybody for that.
I get that. And, I mean, it's a little weird to say because we're kind of putting ourselves out there with this podcast, but like it's a little bit lower stakes, I guess, than releasing a AAA game and then putting your face and stuff behind like, or your voice behind like mechanics. It just, everything felt more low key back then, so I kind of get why they were more open to it.
Right.
But yeah, and it's also like smaller teams, like you said. So
right.
I don't know. It would be cool, like even if it is like a bit more, corporate, less personal, just to have something. Like here's like a couple like stages of prototype, and stuff like that, like just early concepts and designs and stuff. I'd like to see it. Yeah. Even if it's just like maybe the director of the game, like someone who's already kind of like out there.
Right.
It's like a face or something like walking you through it. I think it'd be neat. And it doesn't really happen pretty much ever. So yeah. Maybe with indie games and stuff more. I could see that being like an
I was going to say, well,
thing.
Also indie game devs, I also don't blame them for not wanting to get their face associated with something they made. If it's like really personal or really controversial for whatever reason.
I don't know where that like toxic element of like the gaming community comes. I don't really interact with too much of it, but like I don't know. It feels like off-putting enough to not want to be involved with it necessarily.
I think it's that like everybody, I don't mean to make a big general statement here, and I want to talk because like I don't participate that much in social media or like, throw myself into these types of arguments, but everybody definitely has a right to their opinion, right? I just think it gets like toxic when it's like you're trying to impose your opinion on other people and be like, this is the most correct opinion to have. And anything else is unacceptable. Like, just let people think what they think, man. I don't know. Like, when it comes to something like inconsequential, like a video game, is what I mean.
Yeah.
Don't be
especially
racist.
On, like, tech.
Anyway, just to throw that out there.
Especially on like text-based, means of communication. Like, I feel like it's hard to like state your like criticism or whatever, like if you have something negative to say with like any level of like, I don't hate you, I'm just saying I disagree with you. Like it's kind of hard to convey that through text, I feel like.
Right. And
also like people are just way more open to being nasty and stuff whenever they never have to face
because of the
them,
anonymity. It's like, you get to hide behind your username and like icon. And also on the same turn, maybe because the opposing person, the person that you're like attacking or whatever, is also just a username and icon, you don't make that connection that is a living person sitting on the other side of that account that you need to be like respectful to.
Yeah. And some people, I mean, probably legitimately struggle with this, like understanding what isn't normal to say to people.
Well, especially if you like grew up with it, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Anyway.
Be nice to each other.
Yeah, love each other. Be kind. Be courteous.
I like the idea of us. Our audience is older, so I like the idea of us giving like life advice to people in their 30s. Right. Like, hey, you 30-year-old, you piece of shit. Be nice to each other.
No, we know you're probably nice people.
Yeah. I always thought, man, that'd be so weird. I mean, the idea of having a audience like on YouTube or whatever. I don't know if there's a young podcast audience, but like a following of like people under the age of like 15 or so. That sounds weird to me. Like, especially if you're like older. It's like, I'm 23 years old and all my fans are 12.
Yeah,
not like that's bad.
No.
I'm just saying like the idea of like, I feel like I would think about how I talk about things with more, like if our audience is like all like, people our age, I'm not really going to, I don't know. Like,
yeah, because
I might feel some responsibility is what I'm saying to like say meaningful things or something.
Yeah, or to like impart some good like life advice or something. I don't know. You can probably learn any like good life advice from honestly anybody if they, But no, I get what you mean.
Yeah, just like the idea of like maybe if my audience is like 12-year-olds, I'll be less edgy is kind of what I'm trying to say. Like I would maybe try to be a bit more like, I don't know. Like I don't want to be responsible for creating an army of gremlins or something. Right. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
How do you feel about the vehicle sections and the mini games?
Oh, of course, the vehicle sections and the mini games. Yeah. That's what we were trying to elegantly segue to.
Sure.
Considering the length of the game, like how short it is, it takes up like a decent percentage of the overall playtime, but I still felt like it broke up the gameplay. And granted, it's like non-linear, so you can play them in not whatever order, but you have some flexibility in the order you play levels. But I feel like they acted like a nice break in the action, which is, I think, what vehicle levels and minigames and stuff like that should be.
Yeah.
I hated some of them, though.
Yeah.
I struggled with the Bentley one and the chicken one, like we mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. So what about you?
So I don't know. I mean, honestly, like the way I feel about vehicle levels is like similar to like my issue with Nightfire, where I was like, I just like the core James Bond first person shooter gameplay. Mm-hmm. I don't really want to be in an underwater car or in like a turret mini game section. But also at the same time, I do understand that if you did not break up the core gameplay with something, it might start to like feel very repetitive. Which I also thought I thought it was kind of odd that the most like different like types of levels or whatever, aren't they in Ms. Ruby's section?
I think you're right.
Because you have the piranha, the chickens, and the shooter, the turret or the hover shooter thingy.
Yeah, the piranhas, chicken, shooter. That's right. So there was only 4 actual like.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention this. Mm-hmm. That serpent level. Love that serpent level. Whatever it's called.
Lair of the Beast.
Lair of the Beast.
Yeah, I think that's what
Fantastic
it's called.
Level. Yeah. That's probably one of my favorites, actually.
Yeah. That's a cool one. Yeah. Oh, the crab treasure chest one of my least favorites. Yeah. I don't like that one.
That's kind of rough. Actually, so this leads into a point, maybe like maybe a point of criticism I have with the first game is it's laid out in this non-linear fashion where you can, usually it's like each world is broken up into like 2 sections. Like you don't have access to all the levels immediately. You have to beat a few and then you unlock more of that hub world so you can access more levels. But you do have to finish all 7 of the levels in each world to progress.
Right.
Even though it's like non-linear. And I kind of wonder if the game would benefit from maybe a system where you don't have to complete every level. So like a Super Mario 64 layout where you just need a certain amount of stars to progress, as opposed, like, you don't need to get every star to progress. You just have to get a certain amount, which I think I prefer, because levels like this, like as a kid and stuff, it's like, I might finish every level in, Raleigh's world, but I'll get stuck on the Piranha level. Yeah. It'd be nice if I could still progress,
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, for kids especially, I could see, like, if they were to do like a reboot or something and follow like the same formula of this game, I could see them like having more keys to collect, but they're not all required.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like that it opens up like opportunities for like speed running, routing and stuff like that, like which ones are the most efficient.
Right. That makes sense.
Get. Stuff like that seems fun to me.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't have a problem with having to collect all the keys because I'm an adult in this game. It's easy for me.
Oh, yeah. Easy.
Yeah.
Speaking of easy, how did you find the collectibles? Was it fun and rewarding, that little treasure hunt of scouring every level?
I think so. Just because, so they make opening the vaults such a fun experience.
It is.
Because they do this little like choir thing and this epic like build up music to it, and then you get to hold the page and like read through it or whatever, and Bentley gets to give his funny little spiel, and then you get a new ability, and I think that's like a good system. I
love Bentley's little jokes about unlocking the code. I don't know if you have a favorite.
I had to overcome some personal demons to get this one.
Yes. Yeah. I love that one. Try 444. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. That's my favorite one. Like the implication that he was like, it can't be 444. Yeah.
Just like he's just sitting in the back of a van. There's like papers, like it's like the Pepe Sylvia, the conspiracy theory board thing where he's just like, what is going on? Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
That's good. It's so funny. Yeah. I'm almost curious to like put together or watch a compilation of just every
Bentley. Like,
every Bentley line of opening a safe.
Yeah.
It's so funny. All right. I think that's all I have to say for level design. Aesthetics. All right.
Yeah. What's your favorite soundtrack? Because the music do be bumping.
In like listening to it on its own, like, yeah, it's bumping. I just had this, I don't know why, but this game I just kind of ignored.
Oh, really?
Music. Yeah, I just didn't, it did like, when you said favorite soundtrack, I was like, huh. I was like trying to like imagine anything in my, I remember the fight stuff, like whenever the fight kicks off, like of like the bow, I can't do it. But it's like, yeah, I kind of remember that. But I was like, I couldn't remember any of the music in my head. I had to listen to it separately. So
yeah, I think you're right. I think the reason why I remember the soundtracks as well as I do, because I listen to them while I work sometimes, because they help me like get into the zone and just kind of like, because I've heard them so many times.
I feel like music fades into the background for me while I'm playing a game. There's some exceptions. Like it just becomes like part of the overall feeling, and I just kind of lose it. It doesn't stand out as like a separate thing in my mind. It's just part of the whole experience, I guess. But I mean, like listening to it separately, it's like, yeah, it's bumping, it's jazzy.
Yeah, it's fun.
Feels a little, I don't know, sneaky.
Yeah. My favorite is, I like Back Alley Heist. I think Back Alley Heist into the top, or the whatever, straight to the top. I think they like share a soundtrack. I like that one. 2 to Tango has a good one, but I think my favorite is the Clockwork boss theme.
Oh yeah.
Especially the remastered, like the PlayStation 3 version has like a reorchestrated soundtrack. And so the Clockwork theme in the original one, it's like a little bit more subdued, but in the remaster, it has like this like big brassy sound to it that I really appreciate. I think is cool.
That's weird.
Yeah.
So you're saying they like re-recorded or like recreated or just?
Yeah. Yeah. They like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They added some extra pizzazz to it. I don't know how they did it exactly, but they did do that.
That's interesting. Yeah. I wasn't sure if you meant like it was more compressed on the PS2 disc.
No. Like, okay. like the original was like mostly synth sounds, whereas like the remastered soundtrack has like orchestra sounding instruments. Those might also be synthesized, but the sound is a little bit different, is what I mean. Again,
Yeah.
not music experts. Don't come at us because we don't know what we're saying.
I will delete any music-related comments.
No, if you have thoughts about the music, please say something. We would love to hear.
That was such a thing for a while too. Like, I feel like I noticed it at first with Nintendo. There was like a point, I think during like the Wii U era, where they made like a conscious and notable switch to like orchestrated stuff as opposed to like MIDI and synth stuff.
Yeah. Well, and also like as games get bigger, you might have a bigger budget delegated to like producing the soundtrack versus like old PS2 games. There was probably like one dude who was just making the whole soundtrack by himself, which is insane.
And he was probably the same guy who was doing like the voice of one of the characters and also designing.
And also an animator or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy times. I would love to make a video game. I think we, as we discussed earlier about like you being into, game design and stuff because of this. It's just such like a
it's such a big thing. The scope of it can get so out of hand so quickly. And that's what's so daunting.
You really got to be talented in like a lot of different aspects if you want to do it by yourself.
Right.
Absolutely. But even with a small team. Anyway, again, what were we talking about?
Oh, sorry. We were talking about the aesthetics. So also one thing about this game that they really brought up a lot in the developer commentary was how like art direction was like a really big core to their idea. And that really does stand out with like the game's visuals. So they definitely wanted it to be cartoonish, but sort of like one step closer to reality. So it felt kind of like at home in that like 3D environment. They were really going for, I think a word that they used a lot was lush. So they wanted like lush color palettes with like hand painted looking backgrounds, I think was something one guy said.
You said the gameplay was lush as well.
Yes, he did. He did. That's funny how that like stuck in both of our heads. I don't know.
The gameplay's lush as well.
Yeah,
I don't know. Something about how he said it just really stood out.
Yeah. If you're listening, we love you.
Yeah. Again, maybe this is like the reason. Maybe another reason people don't want to put their face out there a lot. Just get memed. I feel like he could get memed on if this came out today.
Oh man.
At times he said lush.
I know I've said stupid. I've been interviewed for things before and said like the most dumbass things, and then later I saw it got put in like the end product, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" That happened to me at college once. I don't know if you knew about that, but
oh man, I got put on like maybe this is saying too much. Maybe people could find me. But I was like the highlight student of my major or whatever, and they're like, "Hey, what do you want to do?" I'm like, "I want to get a job." In this area. And then so it was like a male and female. I don't know if it's always that way, but it was like me and like another girl that were like, hey, you get this little bio, and she had like this novel, and I was like, I would like to get hired somewhere.
I want to put food on the table, man. That's what I'm here for.
And I sent them like an old picture of me.
Oh.
It just looked ugly, and she had like this nice photo.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Mine, there was like an on-campus like paper, and they interviewed me about the cafeteria food or whatever. And I was not prepared. I was just like, sure, I guess I'll say something, because they like came and sat down at my table, and I was like, well, I can't like get up and walk away. Like, so I was like,
I would. That'd be hilarious.
Like, sure.
Just mid-sentence, you just don't say anything, you get up and walk away.
And they had like a little recorder for me to talk into, and I said something fucking stupid. They were like, how do you feel about like the food here? And I was like, they could use like more seasonings. And when they put it in the newspaper, they put all my like and ums in there in my quote. And I was like, bro, you did me so dirty. I sounded like such an idiot, which I know that I kind of do, but like, you don't have to do me that dirty in like text format.
Yeah. They could use like more seasonings.
That's exactly what I said. It was terrible.
What if they put in the lip smacks? They're like,
lip smack.
Asterisk lip smack.
And Zach, our friend Zach, tore me to shreds over it. He thought it was so funny. Like after like the interview or whatever left, he was like laughing at me, and I was like, what? Oh man. Anyway,
was that for just like that was like the school paper? That's weird.
Yeah. They had
it was like a journalism thing or something?
It was to like, I think for like journalism students, it was to like give them something to like practice their skills or whatever. Which she did not leave anything out. I was 100% represented accurately.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Anyway.
That soundbite of you saying that is just living on somebody's hard drive right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, again, what were we talking about?
Aesthetics.
That's like if we ever have like a shirt or something, maybe what were we talking about?
Yeah, that would be.
Could be like the podcast catchphrase or
right.
something. Yeah, I got to say, when upscaled to HD, this game like holds up almost perfectly, I think. I think the only parts that fall apart are the character. The character models feel like they could use some TLC, but I think in general they look pretty good. But like, I think compared to like the second game, much improved. Mm-hmm. But like, the like aesthetics of like the levels and like the art of like the world, it's all jaggedy and like I don't know if there's like a name for that sort of style, but it's not like realistic. It's just like, there'll be like a chimney and it'll have like 5 different like jaggies in it or something like that.
I get what you mean. Yeah. I think the more like when you're making a game, I think the way to like future proof it is to like really lean into a style like that. Because this still holds up. But yeah, like you were saying, there's like all the characters have like this like black outline around them to make them look more comic booky. And yeah, you're right. There's like certain like angles where they move where the black lines don't really fall where they should, where you can see how like jagged the model is.
Mostly during cutscenes when you get like a close up of someone or something. Yeah.
And like the animations, like the speaking animations kind of leave a lot to be desired. Or like the close-ups you were saying, those look really dated. But the actual like in-game stuff is very good.
And speaking of speaking,
yes.
I think like one of the issues I have, I really think that the vocal performance from a lot of the characters, sometimes over the top, but certainly very exaggerated. Like all the enemies, like the bosses and stuff like that.
The boss voice acting, I love. If I'm being honest. Like it's over the top, but like I would say in a good way. Bentley.
I think that...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say Bentley is very good. I think Murray's good. Sly, in this game, he's a bit understated. He really grows into his role in the second and third games.
Yeah.
Which, fun fact about this, I'm pretty sure this is like... I'm not like incorrect about this. So Sly's voice actor, his name is Kevin Miller. And he had a podcast, and I think it was called the Gamerland Podcast. I don't think it's active anymore, but he might be like streaming or something now. I don't know what he's up to these days. But
interesting.
I think it was in that podcast. They would talk about Sly Cooper from time to time because like obviously that's what he's like most well known for. And he talked about how he was actually on the casting team and like wasn't like auditioning as they just sort of like picked him out and they were like, here, you try it. And it was like him and like one other voice they were considering and they ended up going with him because they couldn't decide on a first favorite, but he was everybody's second favorite. So he's who got it. But yeah, he's very like, Sly is very like quiet and like soft spoken in this game.
Yeah. I feel like he tries to be a little too cool. Almost.
Yeah. But by the second game, he's like really like I said, grown into the role and sounds like good, I think.
I think one of the issues I have, bringing it back to like the boss dialogue and stuff, I feel like the sort of like idle character animations was like too much juxtaposition for me because the voice acting is like over the top. It's like very much playing into like the character. But it's just kind of like Miss Ruby, especially, where she's just like bouncing back and forth.
Meanwhile,
but she's just like got so many like highs and lows with like her delivery and stuff.
And I love her delivery. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Or there's some like abrupt, like the Raleigh. Whenever you defeat him, it's like his like ending thing where he's like, Mesa City is so well guarded, a snake couldn't slither through without setting off alarms.
Yeah.
Like when he just dies, it's like. It's a little
a little cartoony.
It's just it misses the mark a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean that's I think that's all I got to say for aesthetics. Got anything else?
No. And the only thing we have left to talk about as far as bonus content goes, I think, is the Japanese intro and commercials.
Yeah. So I mean, we already kind of touched on like the making of documentary and all that stuff that they include, which is awesome. They also include some commercials, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Like on the disc, but they also got the Japanese intro
and the ending, I think.
Oh, and the end. Yeah. Okay. Which is interesting.
Yeah, sorry. Just can I say I love the ending of this game too. Like the surprise smooch with Carmelita at the end. And she's like, oh. And then she finds out she's handcuffed to a railing. Perfection.
It's perfect.
It's perfect. I love it.
Perfect.
I love it. So like the tension leading up to it, the happening, and then like the realization at the end, so good.
It is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's interesting. This was the thing that we discussed with Jack and Daxter. The characters being designed slightly differently for Japanese market is just something that I find interesting. This is an American studio. So I wonder, like, you know, if it was Sony who like pushed, what was the decision-making process behind treating the designs of the characters differently? Like, was it just common knowledge at the time? Like, a Japanese and an American audience like want different things? Or I don't know.
I mean, you want to appeal to as like wide of a market as possible. So like the tweaks were probably made to appeal to like Japanese kids, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Did Sly's
like more of an anime style, I guess?
Well, because that's what they would be watching on TV. They wouldn't be watching like Western style.
Western stuff.
Yeah, they would be watching anime. But did Sly's character model change in like the Japanese version? Or is it just in the cuts, in like the cinematic, like the animated stuff?
I'm looking up Sly Cooper Japan.
Just real quick while you're doing that. Another thing we did bring up in the Jack and Daxter episode that I do want to bring up again, the Japanese box art for this game is so good.
It is good.
Like, I would place that above the greatest hits box art, definitely. It's so cool looking.
100% should have been the American box art as well. Like,
yeah, it's so like dynamic.
Kind of that freaking logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, the design of the characters is
the same?
Different.
Oh, it's different.
It's different.
What's different about it?
It's a bit more like rounded, I guess.
Wait, like in game?
No, not in game. I mean in the cutscenes.
Oh yeah, definitely. They're way different. He's more like I don't know. I almost want to say Carmelita looks more animalistic. And Sly kind of does too. Also, I like the Japanese Sly's cane design better.
Oh, is it?
It has like kind of like a little extra like hooky bit on it.
Yeah, I see a still of it. Does that cover everything?
Let me look.
I'm also checking. Let me check my notes, see if I have anything. Apparently, you can't invert the camera on the PS2. That's an option on the PS3. Okay. Or you can't uninvert. I don't know what it is by default.
I don't know. I just adapt. Whatever game I'm playing, I adapt. Yeah. Improvise, adapt, overcome.
Honestly, like, so I play inverted on everything. But going back to this, like Resident Evil 4, it's like, well, first of all, Resident Evil 4 is kind of weird to play inverted because you're controlling a cursor as opposed to controlling the character. In my mind, that's how that works. So, like, I wouldn't want to invert that, even though I think there is an option to do that. But yeah, it's been breaking my brain a little bit jumping back to like the PS5, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, this isn't invert. Like, I don't know. It's strange. No, I think I covered everything.
Okay.
So if you're good.
I am good. Yes.
All right, Morgan. Where can you play this game? You can play it on PS2, PS3. That's it. Well, unfortunately, it is trapped.
Well, hold on. You can, I think, on PS4.
You can stream.
With the streaming, which is not recommended because it's booty.
I don't even consider. I'm like, that's been the case for a couple games, I think, but I don't even consider that a real way to play.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Like it doesn't apply to a lot of people. Like it's very dependent on your connection to the internet.
Right.
So I mean, I have decent internet and I can't even get away with streaming.
Yeah.
Like it's rough. So I wouldn't recommend it.
I will say the PS2 version is faster for speedrunning.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Is there just more glitches or?
I don't remember. I think the load times might actually be like slightly faster for whatever reason. For some reason.
That's interesting.
Also, obviously, the PS2 version is not going to have the issues with the Ms. Ruby boss fight soundtrack that the PS3 version is going to have. However, you're going to have the not so smooth graphics. Yeah.
Yeah.
But whatever.
I mean, holds up depending on how you're playing it. I played the PS3 version on a CRT, so I played it at 480i, and it looked much better. I wonder if playing the collection on PS3 through a CRT, like in that 4:3 aspect ratio, would be a more pleasant experience because they do struggle with the transition of like certain text elements or like graphical elements and stuff like that if you're playing on a widescreen TV. So Yeah, there's that. But yeah, it's unfortunately one of the games that is one of the great, Sony games that's just locked on older hardware. We really need some type of remake or remaster just to get it on the modern storefront. So it's there. It'll, hopefully just carry forward with future PlayStation stuff.
Right.
But as of now, it's not.
And this is something that deserves to go forward.
Absolutely.
I would just like to say.
But also emulation. You said emulation was...
Yeah, it was fine.
Smooth.
I only noticed frame rate dips in the Ms. Ruby boss fight, of all things, specifically because there's so many chickens on screen with her. I think that kind of like tanked it a little bit.
That's fine. Yeah, I think it goes without saying that we recommend this game pretty heavily.
Yes.
Compared to we don't have to get into ranking. I won't get into ranking. I was going to say this is probably my favorite game.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, does this game need a remake?
Yes.
Morgan, take it away.
Yeah. I would take any form. I would take, even if you just tweak the graphics a little bit, slap it up there. Even if you just, I don't know, if you just ported it, I would take that.
Just port. I would take a straight port.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if it was like an update for, like the visuals, not like even necessarily redoing like the whole shebang, whatever, I'll take it. And if you do redo the whole thing, I would go bonkers.
That'd be I feel like we mentioned it last episode because we talked about remakes and stuff like that. But this trilogy, the Ratchet trilogy, the Jak and Daxter trilogy, these PS2 trilogies, prime remake material.
Yeah.
Like a full from the ground up, like a consistent style across the three games.
Yep.
Sly especially.
Yeah.
Sly and Ratchet because they're not available on PS4. Jak and Daxter is. It is. It's like it is.
Hey guys, how's that fair?
Yeah, what the heck, guys?
Hey guys.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it would be like a budget title, $40 to $50 game or a full-on $70. I would pay $100, probably an irresponsible amount of money to have like a remake of
the whole trilogy. Yeah, I would go for it, yeah. Sure.
I'd buy 10 copies. Yeah, definitely needed. What would you like to see next in the series, though? Like, what would be like if you could, hop on Insomniac, not Insomniac, Sucker Punch's, hijack their studio?
Yeah. If you planted me in Sucker Punch like a sleeper agent and activated me with the remake Sly Cooper task or whatever, what I would do if I was in charge of the whole thing? Thieves in Time, throw it out the window. I'd be like, that didn't happen. We're not even going to go there.
Delete it. Delete it off the PlayStation Store. Copyright strike every video of it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Just delete it off the face of the internet.
Yeah, I would just sort of like strike it and be like, no, that didn't happen. We're not going to go there. We're not going to continue from the point where it left off because it was garbage. I would do a new entry in the series. It would take place at some point after Sly 3. My pitch for the story, you have some sort of like game master who is pitting different gangs of thieves against each other to complete like a scavenger hunt around the world. That's like my like basic plot premise. I don't really know what the end goal of the scavenger hunt is. I have a concept for a couple villains. One of the ideas I would want is Tokyo. And the like boss fight would be like a giant rampaging robot that you have to climb up to like take out. And it's like going like through like the hub of the city and just like destroying everything. And like Bentley's like screaming at you and like, Sly, get up there, get the thing. Yeah. That's my like main idea.
So like Shadow of the Colossus scaling a giant.
Yeah, just for that one boss fight though. Like they don't all have to be that big, but like a big one. Yeah. And then bring back, you know what? Let's rob a casino again. Cause
why not?
Yeah.
There's plenty of casinos to rob.
And also, if it's on next gen hardware, I have this like visual in my head of like sneaking through, not an empty casino when it's closed, like a crowded one. Like there's like people there gambling. And so you're like up in the
Persona
rafters.
5 style.
Yeah. You're like up in the rafters, like scrambling around, that kind of thing. That's what I want, like a heightened Ocean's 11 type shenanigans like sort of like thing.
You saying that makes me realize the through line between this and Persona 5 of being like a band of like good thieves. There's something very appealing about that whole like, we're good thieves, you know.
Right.
Outlaws hate us and the law hates us. Like I like that.
Yes.
For me, I feel like a remaster of the first 3, and a port, remaster, remake, anything, just to get them on modern platforms, have them like more widely available, essential. And you could maybe treat that like a sort of like, testing the market sort of situation. Like,
a stepping off
what is
point.
the interest in this? Yeah, like a safe sort of like, we're going to put this out there. It's probably not going to cost too much, to develop and whatever. So we'll just kind of, see if people are still feeling Sly at this point. It's been dead for a while. But as far as like a new game, I would be down for a reboot or a continuation. Like if they wanted to start over, not necessarily like they would retread the first game exactly, but just kind of like start fresh. Like we may pull from old ideas, we may not, sort of thing. I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
I feel like they could, take it in a new direction. I don't know like what kind of, to what degree of finality the third game ends on or the fourth game ends on, like, because I haven't played it, so I don't know. When you said like cut out the fourth game, that was giving me Crash Bandicoot 4 vibes, where they just were like, we're going to forget about everything besides 1, 2, and 3, and like make jokes about it throughout the game of like, didn't you guys like beat this guy like a bunch of times? And they're like, no,
we're not talking about that. Hey, what happened to the whole time travel thing? We don't talk about it. Like, don't worry about it. We're back from that now, and we're never going back there.
Maybe they time travel to a time before they ever time travel.
Yeah.
How about that?
And I destroyed the time machine before I could complete it. That's Bentley's line or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be a great way to start off. Is there like a certain, because like Sucker Punch is not making this, and you may not have a developer studio to pull from. I'm not sure if I do either, but like, is there any like team that you're like, these people, could make another Sly Cooper game?
I after Sanzaru bungled it, in my opinion, Sucker Punch is the one that I trust with these characters, because it's like, guys, you made them, you get them. Sanzaru tried. They tried to get the lightning in a bottle essence of what you had. They couldn't do it. They did not do the characters justice, in my opinion. If you like Sly 4, that's fine. I'm not coming for you. But yeah, I would put it back in the hands of the people who like conceptualized it. But the sucky thing is they probably don't want to even go back there. So like, may
not even work there anymore.
That too.
It's been a long time.
Nate Fox, I think, was like the lead game designer. I'm pretty sure he was. I don't know if he's still at Sucker Punch, but Nate Fox, you killed it.
I'd be curious. So like Insomniac is one of the only studio that really develops like with a separate team, develops like, a mature game and like a kid-friendly game. Not like saying Spider-Man is like mature, but it's like, it's not like a family game or something like that. It would be interesting to maybe like it's not Sucker Punch proper, but like under Sucker Punch's like, like oversight. Yeah. Maybe create another team that is like, I think they're working on Ghost of Tsushima 2 right now. Okay. But like have another team that is like, separate, same family sort of thing, where it's like, we're going to work on, or maybe like Sony creates another team or like acquires another team that is like focused on like these older IPs, like reviving them and stuff. I mean, I get that they tried to do that with Sanzaru.
Yeah, and I will say,
to some extent, but
I don't mean to like keep throwing Sanzaru under the bus, because in like interviews they were like, yes, we have consulted extensively with Sucker Punch and shown them like our gameplay demos and taken feedback from them of like, hey, does this feel like Sly Cooper, or is this like too like out there, stuff like that. My main qualm with Sly 4 is like related to the writing. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I kind of feel like, there's something, so I'm playing Rift Apart right now, which is, I wrote this down because I was like, oh, I'd love to see like a Sly game where you're like, bouncing back and forth between like Sly and Carmelita, which is, maybe that is what happens. I don't know. I feel like it'd be cool if she was a playable character, and she is, I guess. Yes. Based off your facial. Yes. Okay, yes. I really like that dynamic in Rift Apart, and I'm like, oh, maybe that would work. I don't know. I was just like, be interesting. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, the writing of like Rift Apart versus like, older entries in the Ratchet series. It's like, yeah, I like Rift Apart, but it's like, this is definitely different. Like, This is more like, yeah, let's go team, you know, and like a happy-go-lucky sort of thing. And Sly 1, or not Sly, but like Ratchet and Clank 1 and 2 and 3 were like more tongue-in-cheek,
Skid McMarks.
irreverent. Yeah, like a bit more lowbrow with the humor and stuff like that.
Or whatever, yeah.
Which, you know, it's...
Crotchetizer, sorry.
Yeah. The developers retain the right to change, you know, the tone or whatever of their game or whatever. But I don't know.
I do miss that old tone. I do kind of want it back.
Yeah.
I want both.
Yeah, is there a reason that like kids games are so
sanitized?
Like there's still wacky stuff. Like it's still funny at parts in the like Rift Apart, but it's mostly like the bad guy is just insane or something.
Yeah.
It's never like the good guys are saying some, you know, lowbrow humor.
Making a joke about big boobs or something. Because that is a thing, kind of, at one point.
I don't know what I'm asking for.
Well, to be fair, the old Ratchet and Clanks also had a teen rating and not an E10 rating.
Oh, wow. You're right.
They did, yeah. So, I don't know. Which, that, like, the, like, toning it down with the lowbrow stuff happened with Tools of Destruction. That was the first one. But that was also the first one where they were, like, they hired an actual writer to do like the overarching story of that PS3 trilogy. They were like, we want to take this a little bit more seriously and see what we can do. I don't know. There's benefits to both, I guess.
That's all I got to say.
All right. What's coming next? Do tell.
That's all I got to say. Wait, we got to clap.
Oh.
I don't know if we've always been
I don't
clapping,
know either.
But sometimes I think about it. That's all for Sly Cooper.
Okay. And everything else we talked about that was not Sly Cooper related at all.
Everything else we talked about. I would love to, I think it'd be cool to hire someone to just do like a, you know, a pie chart of every episode, like percentage of time actually talked about the topic versus not the topic. That'd be great. So next month, you know, in honor of our proximity to May the 4th, we're going to be covering a Star Wars game, Star Wars Battlefront, the first one, by Pandemic Studios. Rest in peace. Another, you know, a great studio that was acquired by EA and then murdered. Yeah, we're going to be covering Battlefront, a game that I played as a kid. Morgan, no real connection to the first game?
I think I did the multiplayer. I think it might have been 2 with Zach at Zach's house one time. And we had a lot of fun doing that.
It's such a, like... it's like a mindless sort of like feels very. It's like big team, like a Battlefront-y type thing where it's you know, you're just a soldier in a battle,
right? You
know, like a historical battle from the Star Wars universe. It's great. First game is still pretty good. I think everyone prefers the second game, but the first game has some neat aspects to it.
Cool.
So
looking forward to that.
Next month.
All right. Do you want me to give the closing spiel?
Oh, yeah, you give it. You gave the intro. Go ahead.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Please support the podcast by leaving a review or rating, subscribe or follow to stay up to date with what we are playing, and share the show with a friend who loves this generation of video games. Until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye. It's a good goodbye. I'm sorry, Morgan. It's essential that I say goodbye last.
Okay.
I need to get the last word. It's part of my contract.
Okay. Goodbye, though.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Editor, make sure I say goodbye.
Okay.